Guys, what's going on, man? Semen here. So I got a story to tell you guys, man. Currently I'm on 6 months of Semen retention, and I just want to tell you the story that I had at this restaurant that I work at. I work at a Georgian restaurant. You know, we have a whole bunch of Eastern Europeans that come in. We have a lot of Central Asians that come in. We have everyone that usually comes in, to be honest. We really get a bunch of everyone, but mostly Eastern Europeans because they're familiar with the cuisine. And Georgia is over there, you know? Technically West Asia, but it's whatever. This 6 month, before I tell you the story, I want to give you a preface on what I've been feeling so far on my practice of Semen retention. I've been feeling a huge dissonance from the world, and I've been feeling a chasm that's been growing between me and the people of the world. I've been feeling also that a lot of the actions that I'm taking are very, very cyclical in nature, like going to work constantly, going to boxing constantly, going to the gym constantly. I've been reading I'm almost finished. I'm not almost finished with the Bible. I keep saying this, but I'm in New Testament. You know, I'm going through the Gospels of the people that witnessed Jesus, with Jesus's life. You know, from their different perspectives. I'm currently on the book of Luke now, and it's like the more that I'm learning more about, you know, the esoteric nature of things, more about what I already knew. I feel like there's a big space and chasm and fissure that's growing between me and the people of the world. And it's very, very interesting. I have so much to talk about spirituality, so much to talk about religion and energies, so much. Because I'm telling you, I've been learning so much, guys, just from this observation alone. This 6 months of celibacy has taught me so much. It's been teaching me so much. It's not gonna end anytime soon. The temptations are around, but I already know the truth behind the temptations, seriously, and you will get to that point eventually. You guys, you know, for everyone that's struggling on their, like, you know, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 weeks streaks, you're gonna realize a lot more about the world. The world is a temptress. It's a reason why in the book of Revelation they spoke about the scroll that needed to be opened in order to realize what's to come in the world. And the only one worthy of opening the scrolls was someone, remember, because it was Jesus Christ ultimately, but in his ascended version, when he triumphed over himself, the world, and the devil. And remember, he said earlier in the New Testament, I'm not getting sidetracked, but I just want to give you guys a little bit of perspective. He said before that if you follow the Father, you can do things that are greater than me, by the way. Jesus was just blessed by God. He said, you follow my ways, you're of the system, you're of the world, you can do better than me. There's a lot of implications behind what does that mean, the devil, right? It's not like some horned being that's chasing souls to lead them to perdition. Not literally, at least. What is the world? What does the world mean, right? And yourself. Why is it that you must battle yourself? That doesn't mean, then who do you have really to support? Anyway, I'm gonna describe all of this. Hopefully I remember by the time this story is through. But I was at work the other day, and there was a Ukrainian family that came in. These guys, I've never been to Ukraine. I've been close, as you guys know. I've been to Budapest. Hungary borders Ukraine, but I haven't been to Ukraine for obvious reasons. But so the family, it was a huge family, and I love to see families, to be honest, because it's like it's a symbiotic unit, right, of people that understand their roles, of how to deal with the world at large and accumulate resources for themselves. They're like small communities, and I find it very, very impressive. And so this family, there was only one of them or two of them that could speak English, and they just kept looking at me very, like, you know, very, very like in an observing way, you know, not in a very malicious way, but just very observing. And I said, hey, what's going on? Where are you guys? I already knew, actually, I spotted where they were from. I knew they were from Ukraine because they had a floral, the grandmother had a floral print shirt. So I said, Привіт, right? And then she was like, oh, how do you know Ukraine? Do you speak Ukrainski? I was like, no, I just know that you're from Ukraine because that shirt. I know that's that's something with your guys' traditions. You know, we were talking and whatnot. They kept looking at me. There was the husband that would, you know, kept touching my shoulder in like very, very reassuring ways. And then the grandmother came with the child. There was a child that they had, and the child was like, you know, he looked super like Ukrainian, small eyes, big child. He must have been weighing like 50 pounds for someone that's not even a year old. It was so interesting. And the kid was just staring at me. You know, I can imagine, like, I must have like struck shock and awe to this kid. You know, like, this guy keeps smiling. Who is this dark-skinned person that keeps smiling? And so the grandmother was like, "Do you speak Paruski?" And I was like, "Yeah, in the Mioska I speak a little bit." And then the first thing she said afterwards was that her child is Christian. Her grandson is Christian. And then she opened the kid's onesie and pulled out a wooden cross. And I was like, "Oh, I'm reading the New Testament now." And she nodded her head, and I could only imagine she didn't really understand. But I made a gesture as if I was reading. But then I spoke to the person that spoke English about why I know Ukrainian and why I would like to learn Russian, even though I know that it's not the best language to learn because of the people behind it. But I said, you're able to communicate with a lot of countries, and so communication is something I would like to do. And they were nodding, they were all tuned in, even though they couldn't understand a word I was saying. Only one of them. They couldn't understand a word I was saying. They were all nodding, smiling, all like tuned in. You could feel their energies. And it's like, the reason why I brought this up is because every now and then I've been having moments like this where I truly connect with like a very, very small few. Even though like now in the world I've been receiving a chasm, a much bigger space and fissure between everyone of the world. I could say anything I want to them, and I'm just usually ignored or overlooked or misinterpreted or everything. And it's a very, very interesting thing, because I've been trying to like discover what the reason is behind that. And it's so funny. Coincidentally, I'm in the New Testament now, and I've been reading the Gospels over and over. The Gospel, the next Gospel, the next Gospel, and you're hearing from Jesus Christ whenever he talks to the disciples, saying, "Listen, you got to understand these people are not." He's talking to the disciples. He's saying the people will never accept you because they never accepted my Father, and they're not going to accept me. They want to condemn. They condemn me, and so since you guys come from me, you think that you're going to be accepted more than me. And it makes me understand a lot more about the meaning behind these things, the true meaning, because what I'm really realizing is that Jesus really spoke only in parables. This guy he always said he was a very, very clever orator. Like this dude could speak very, very well. He was very, very clever. He likes to use a lot of double, triple entendres. And he was basically, that whole speech about the world never accepting you is that if you follow the ways of Jesus Christ, if you are more disciplined, if you forego the temptations of the flesh, which is all, not just lusts, the proclivity to do wrath, to be angry, to be vengeful and whatnot. It's beyond that. It's to exalt yourself over others, to subjugate others, to manipulate others, to do bad onto others, to try to show a blind eye to people that are suffering, right? The more you don't do that, the more you will not be accepted by the world, because no matter what the world does, no matter how the world presents itself to be, whether it be moral or it's my camera cover. No matter how moral they present themselves to be, no matter how strong, how almighty they present themselves to be, they are all immoral. They are all heathen-like behavior. They all exhibit heathen-like behaviors. It doesn't matter how many riches they have. It doesn't matter what they've done. They are all heathen at the end of the day. And I never really understood this. I never did until this current 6 month of semen retention. Let's get back to semen retention before I get on this whole religious tip. Celibacy has enlightened me in ways that I cannot explain. It made me not only understand and see the space between me and the world grow and grow and grow, but it made me understand why it's happening. The more you build your energy, the more you build that internal energy, you realize that the impetuses that a lot of people go through, everyone is presented with the same path, more or less, but they refuse their impetuses, most people, because they want to stay the same, to control and to manipulate. This is all they want. They just want control. The people, this is Sunday now, today's Sunday, people go to church and they understand the Bible. They will tell you what's written in the Bible, but they will not practice it themselves. They don't practice continence. They don't practice fasting. They don't stay away from certain foods. They don't exhibit certain behaviors, because it's only for show. I never really understood this until this current streak. I never did, because I'm realizing all of this. Like, it's like I'm completely invisible to the world. Like, now, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've built up my energy, and guys, it's not like I'm super strict. You know, I'm gonna go have my baklava cheesecake. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have my my borjomi water and all this kind of stuff. But I am seeing the more I'm advancing in the world, the more the more I'm advancing in my spiritual journey, the more I'm staying celibate, the more there is no leakage of the energy whatsoever, because my mind is not focused on lust. The more I'm becoming more at odds and more apart from the world. It's a super interesting understanding, and I'm not gonna lie, this morning I was a little down about it, because I was like, what does this mean? You know, what does this spell out for the future? Because it's only gonna become, the space is only gonna become grander. It's only gonna become greater. It's only gonna become more large. You know, I've already foregone my friends. I've already foregone my family. And even more that I have, even the more things that I have, I am parting with them more and more, because I wanna understand more. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And I don't know, I hope that this approach is not for everyone. This approach to life is not for everyone. It's something that will destroy your psyche. Everything that you thought you knew about yourself, the world, your friends, your family, the ideas of success, the ideas of ascension, the ideas of exaltation, the ideas of penance, of sin, of good versus evil, everything will be eradicated right in front of you. And you know, I don't want to keep bringing it to religion, but this, because I'm reading the New Testament, it just ties in so much. The more you are humble, you know, in the world, you don't have much, right? You will be given not necessarily something physical, not necessarily something material, but you'll be given something spiritual and understanding. And understanding is very dangerous to the past self. It will destroy your past self. The one that lusted after woman, the one that lusted after material success, the one that lusted after an idea of a lifestyle, the ideas of marriage, ideas of everything. These things, you will have a completely new perspective on these things. And you will start to become, in that transition point, you will start to become very, very sad. You will start to become very, very distraught with yourself, the world. There's going to be thoughts of deep sorrow, deep malaise, deep just despair, because you realize where you're going, and you realize that there's no one that can walk with you. There's no one that will walk with you. Not cannot, that will walk with you. For the people that are watching this video, they clicked on it because of semen retention, and they want to hear all the benefits, the material goods, like, oh, you could be more triumphant over the world, and you know, you could finally get a girlfriend. Those things will happen to you, but that's a very, very pale in the true reward that comes about from long-term semen retention and actually implementing what is being learned, what is being shown to you. You will see the world for exactly what it is, and it's dangerous. That's all I'm saying, guys. And with that being said, that is all I have to say today, guys. I hope you enjoy that kind of content. Don't ever let this place get you down. I'm telling you, the more, it is just natural, the more you ascend spiritually, the more disciplined you become, the more your eyes are going to become open, and the more the chasm will grow between you and the multitude of the world, the herd of the world. It is only natural. All of the ascetics in the world, all of them, every single one, the more they understood life, the more they understood themselves, the more the space between them and the rest of the world grew. It is only natural. Now, in that transition period, you cannot hurt yourself. You cannot down yourself, because it is only going to be up to you to pick yourself up. And if you are downing your own strength, if you are doubting your own power, if you are cutting at your own stamina, and you have to build yourself up, because what you've seen you cannot unsee. That is the magic of semen retention. That is the magic of ascension. When you start to see the world behind the physical world. When you start to ascend, when you start to understand that discipline is not just something, that a coat that you wear, it is the skin of your body. When you understand how important discipline is, then you cannot unsee it. And so when you down yourself, you have to pick yourself up from the energy that you have left, from how much you've cut yourself. And you have to keep going. You have to keep climbing. You have to keep growing. The world will not help you. It doesn't matter where you're from. You could be Italian American, you could be African American, you could be Uzbek, you could be Colombian, you could be Mexican, you could be Chinese, you could be Taiwanese. If you come into a level of spiritual understanding, incorporating discipline and renunciation, you will not be helped by your family, you will not be helped by your friends, you will not be supported by the world. And you have to build yourself up, you have to be still, I promise you. If you guys comment on the comment section to tell me your personal journeys, I would definitely love to understand them more, because I think I've experienced most things that have been transpired in this place when it comes to spiritual despair. Trust me, I have went through it all, and I'm going through it still. I love you all. Stay radiant. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Woo!